It's a four-part project. There's an event display poster, a travel brochure, an itinerary map, and a magazine cover design. And all that stuff should be all travel related. So it can be for a tour company, a travel company like WestJet. It's called WestJet Vacation, I believe. It could be a travel fair, let's say at the BMO Center, for example, although that gets a little bit more difficult. But it could be an event, for example, like a conference event, let's say in Rome, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really, really open. So it can be like, something close to home. It can be for Travel Alberta, for example, or something that you're more familiar with. Don't necessarily pick something that you don't like. For example, I could not do something about Australia. I don't know anything about Australia. I've never been. So my demo is about, well, hey, what do you know? France and photography. So I've come up with an idea, a concept idea that I called Photo Safari. So it's basically a photo tour of Paris. Quickly, again, I just forgot, there's specific sizes in there. So the event display poster should be 2 by 3 feet, so 24 by 36 inches. And all that stuff should be built in design, of course, using Photoshop, Illustrator, to create graphics, to create the maps, to modify images, et cetera, et cetera. So you can do a 36 by 24s. You can do a horizontal version, of course. The dimensions are always horizontal and vertical. So it can be a vertical, it can be a horizontal format. It's really, really up to you. But the format, the sizes are very specific. The travel brochure is a trifold or a fourfold. So, a three-panel brochure or a four-panel brochure, also called a gatefold, on a legal size paper. So it's a 14 by 8.5. And the itinerary map could be a 17 by 11 or 11 by 17. Again, horizontal versus vertical. It can be double-sided as well. That's really up to you. And magazine cover design. The magazine cover is pretty much a standard size, is 8 by 10. If you're doing, for example, a conference, a conference package or a travel fair, for example, at the BMO, the magazine cover is more along the line of a program cover. There's some feedback here. Those sizes are pretty specific, and the theme again is really up to you. So pick something that is close to you. So, but everything should be in CMYK, in high res, etc. So there's a lot to cover in there. So. We always suggest to select and find images in high res, right? So you go to, Pexels, Pixabay, Unsplash.com, all those websites. You can have, if you have photos of your own as well, use them. If you're doing a search on Google Chrome, always find high res images. You're not talking about small little 300 by 400 pixel wide images. As an example, here's a UCP code reversed. Here's a map of Paris with basically geotagging social media posts. I'm not using that. And in the red spot in the bottom left there is Versailles. But there's some really high-res images that I found that I modified and I'm using in the program and in the files that I found. I couldn't find this. So this is the Ritz Hotel. I couldn't find anything high-res enough. But they're good enough. So anyway, so I found a bunch of images about Paris, and I haven't used all of them, but I just started to collect a bunch of them as just create myself a little bit of an image bank, etc. So I have all of those images. I also found a bunch of logos, as if the package was sponsored or in collaboration or in partnership with different organizations, Parisian organizations. So here I found a logo called Aperture Laboratories, which I modified because my package is for photographic tour. So I called the Aperture Magazine. So I modified it from lab to magazine. and I'm using that on my magazine cover. So I found this logo, and it's a vector file. I also found this, it's knockout, so you can't see it. This Paris 2024 bid for the Olympics. And I thought that was a neat little dynamic logo, because the 24 looks like the Eiffel Tower. Of course, it's subtle, but it's once you see it, you can't unsee it. Also, the Paris City Hall organization. Again, I found those logos online, and I'm using them in the design that I've done. The Musée d'Orsay, it's a museum in Paris as well. I grabbed it from a PDF that I found, of a brochure that I found. I opened the PDF into Illustrator, and then I plucked the logo right out. Also, the RATP, which is the public transportation in Paris, the metro, the subway, and buses and trains and all that stuff within Paris. The logo, by the way, is beautiful, because the profile of the face looks like the Seine River that cuts through Paris, and then of course the green circle is the city of Paris. So I found all of those logos, and I made see, what you don't see here is I made a white version beside it, and I'm placing them in my document. So first things first is I did a plan, right, for the whole project. So my InDesign document right there, and whenever it opens, and whenever it wants to open, is basically just kind of like a basic creative brief for the whole project. So I've created this thing, and it's a quick little table. It's quick and dirty, but I just basically wrote this down, and then I grabbed some basic questions from existing creative briefs, and that helps me as a designer. That should be coming from your client manager, or even your client as well. So, and then as a designer, it's a good idea to have this type of structure for your files, for your project. So you have the name of the client, you have a delivery date, March 1st. Hey, wait, it's March 1st, I'm on time. There's the project promotion of their photographic tour of Paris. The product, what is the product? So it's a high-end exclusive photographic tour of iconic, unusual sites of Paris. Travel package includes culinary meals, hotel nights at a 5-star Ritz hotel. So you're talking like high-end stuff, right? So must-haves, right? Requests basically from the client. So colors, logos, images, and other requests from client to align project with existing brand. So the logo in knockout white, subtle blue, white, red supportive colors. These are the French flag colors. Large visuals about Paris, but not cliche images. The Ritz hotel images are musts because you're selling it. Client wants lots of black. Oh, there's a typo right there. Lots of black. There you go. The project. So what is the scope, right? So they want a poster. That we just went over the course outline there. There's a poster. There's a brochure. I put 11 by 8.5 trifold, or 14 by 8.5, which is a 4-fold. Client undecided. So this is just me doing that, and I've done both. There's an interior map, single-sided this time, and a magazine cover for a promo cover of Aperture magazine 8 by 10. The objectives, and I just made that up, right? The objectives, what are the business and marketing objectives of the project? Short versus long term. So create awareness of their tours, showcase the value and exclusivity, build a clientele that will want to come back and experience other destinations. The product, so what are the distinguishing characteristics of the product that are expected to be communicated? Understated, exclusivity, and experience like no other, elegant but not overly refined. Keep it approachable. So there's the balance, right? You want to be like super nice and exclusive and high end, but you want to keep it approachable, saying, hey, you know what? We're still cool. We're still cool. We're not like shishi and fancy stuff, right? So the target audience, again, what are the demographics, the psychographics, buying and usage habits, the values, the attitudes, and the lifestyles. So go middle age, wealthy but not looking for exclusive treatment, culinary and cultural travelers, curious and independent. Personality and tone, what is the tone and manner? What are the overall personality traits that projects must communicate? Creative and uniqueness of the experience offered, Parisian, European, typo again, European, I did not run a spell check on this one, European flair to it. Next page is an image library. So again, let's say I had a logo provided by the client. In this case, I created that really quickly from scratch. So the fonts are Gotham Ultra right there, the very thick typeface, and then Blue Spirits is the Safari below. And I'm using glyphs for the S and the R. So a bunch of logos of the partners in this project. So the Mairie de Paris, the RATP, the Paris 2024 BID, and then the Musée d'Orsay. And again, the magazine, the Aperture magazine in there. And then I have the modified from the original that I just showed you right here. The next page. Oh, I'm getting some feedback again. There's the image library. So all the images I gathered, in this case, I gathered the images, but in most cases, the images are provided by the client. I just put little thumbnails in there, right? I just created a quick little grid-based images, and I just fit them to a frame, right? So just and somewhat in order. So I have, you know, the food, the hotel, you know, and then some characters in there, and then the lifestyle of Paris kind of thing, a bit of the sights and seeing arranged in groups kind of thing, the Eiffel Tower, the Montmartre area, the Moulin Rouge, Beaubourg, etc., etc. So you have to know Paris to classify those in order. And then more images, of course, that I gathered and modified is the vector graphics. So one of them is for the itinerary map. So the original is that pink one that I found on, I think, Vecteezy. And then I brought it into Illustrator and I customized the color and I created a new little icon for Montmartre. And then this is the icon that I grabbed right there. I grabbed that from Google Map and I went like, yeah, this is pretty good. And I retraced it, right? So I created that on the side. And another thing is that the selected graphics for the map is I'm using the French map right there, the bottle of wine, the bread, the bicycle, and then there's a camera icon and then the UCP icon in there. So just, you know, basic stuff, but I collected all that stuff. And sometimes not necessarily using all of it, such as in this graphic, the Eiffel Tower, the Moulin Rouge. I'm not using all that stuff, but I'm just, you know, grabbing some vector graphics to be able to play with. So in this case, this is my plan. So this is already quite advanced, right? So you don't need to do all of that stuff, but it's a good idea to get organized, have an idea of all the visuals that you're going to use, and the objectives of the project. So that's the plan. And then I have, let me change this. I don't want to have my application frame there. There you go, so I can see it. And then I have started with the brochure, 8.5 by 11. So because my images are high res. So I started a 3-panel brochure, just like the end of the InDesign final project. It's the same concept. It's a 3-panel brochure with a front and back cover, and inside front, inside back. So here, I've already created a bit of a visual language. So remember, there was the Safari logo, a little bit of French colors, the blue, white, and red. Lots of black. The client requested that, and the template is actually on the Teams channel for a blank template for 8.5 by 11 like this. So I created a bunch of paragraph styles in this thing, and I modified them 2 or 3 times to end up to this level right here. But I have an intro type paragraph right here. I have the main body in white. I have a title 1 in red, etc., etc. So I have a quote. I have a quote name. I have all of those paragraph styles that I'm using and that I developed and I'm using throughout, because I can use them everywhere past this point, and then, you know, use them again and then carry them over into another document. So that's the outside of my oh, I forgot to put the stuff in the slug right up here. So this is my front cover right here. This is my back cover right there with all the content information, and again in partnership with, you know, and I have Paris City Hall, Musée d'Orsay, RATP, and then of course all the little icons and for social media that I grabbed off of the same thing, a Vecteezy or something like this. So I came up with that, photosafari.com/Paris, a phone number which is complete bogus, and then bonjour@photosafari.com. So here, this is pretty much the only real text in there that I have. The rest is, as you can see, it's all lorem ipsum. It's just for placement only. Those are quotes that I found on a website. Same thing here. Annie Leibovitz, she's a professional American photographer. I came up with this stupid quote, and again, there's another typo right here. So hey, lesson be learned. Catch your typos before I do. That's a lesson of my own right there, because I rushed through that project, for a demonstration. So there's my excuse. But anyway, so I have come up with a tagline here: experience the city of love through your camera lens. I'm using again the same typeface that I'm using in the logo right here, so it's a bit of a reference. It's called Blue Spirits. This is live text, right? This is the live logo. It's a live text, so it's not a real logo, but I converted it to outline. So this is Gotham Ultra, and then I reduced the kerning to -115, so it's really compressed and the letters are touching. And then this is Blue Spirits, and as you can see, there's a little O down there, right there. When you select a word right here, when you select a letter, you get the little O right there, and then you can see that there's the glyphs. These are the glyphs, so you can just switch letters like this back and forth. So these are your glyphs panel right there. So you have a bunch of different S's, and you can see you can change them like this. So this is a really cool tool that you can use. For example, this one is just a little overdone, so I don't do that. So this is a really cool tool in design, is you can have those glyphs and change all those letters if glyphs if the typeface actually has glyphs, of course. But this is what I play with a C right there, with an L, with an O. So you can see that it creates a little bit of a rhythm and a slight differentiation in the typeface. So small little details like this really make things happen. Quickly over the structure right there, as you can see, I have the bleed right there. My image is bleeding right off the edge of the page right there, right? So that's the edge of my page, but this is how it bleeds right there. I'm blending this into a gray background, so it kind of blends out. I'm using the gradient feather tool to blend an image into the black background. And I have some extra little photos right here at an angle with a bit of a drop shadow, but it's very, very subtle, 20% kind of thing. And I wanted to keep that margin that I have right there, 1/4 of an inch, all the way around within my document. So my lines are aligned, at a 1/4 of an inch away from the edge right there. Same thing here, same thing there. So everything has a little bit of space to breathe, and elements are not touching and colliding with one another. And I'm trying to align the front and back cover right there, the little tricolor line right there. So complete bogus, but fun. And on the inside, I go all white because I want to feature the photos of the people, quote unquote, the fake people that would have taken the tour for us. So this is, again, this would be concept stage for the client. I'm just coming up with some stuff, like as far as content, photographer's dream come true. You will want to photograph the linens. That's the Ritz Hotel. French cuisine at its best. Take the memories, but the chef stays. Tour days, bullet point style, roam at your pace, shopping, museums, Paris. So it just shows it talks a little bit about the things that you can expect. Montmartre, Quartier Latin, Rive Gauche, and another quote right there by Ernest Hemingway. So this is the 8.5 by 11 brochure. If I go back in there, I made the 8.5 by 14 or 14 by 8.5. It should have said. So this is the 4-panel brochure as an example. So I've done both, carrying again the same styles, carrying the same covers, just expanding it into a 4-panel. So here I have designed the stuff properly with my slug. So the slug is that extra line outside of your printing area, and you can say folded flap, front cover, back cover, so you know which panel is what, because when you're printing this thing, it'll be scored and folded over, right? So all that stuff is set in layers, right? So here I even have my fold marks even, right? That little pink dotted line right there, and this is a layer, right? So this is all done properly kind of thing. And so here, the folded flap right there, both folded flaps, the right one is actually going to be your left one and is facing this one right there. So this quote right here that says, "Picture yourself in Paris, camera in hand. In springtime, the light is glistening of the cobblestones in Montmartre." And then the quote continues here. "The cafes are opening. The smell of freshly baked croissants is so crisp that you can almost taste them." Yeah, you want to be there, right? So lots of black again on the outside cover. Same information as the smaller version, and I'm just coming up with. I pulled a few more quotes again. I came up with this one from Annie Leibovitz, which is completely bogus. But on the inside, again, it's the same thing. 4 panels of photograph at the top. Everything lines up. It's balanced. There's lots of room. So there's not very much text really. There's just hardly any text. The type is set at 10 point. It's readable. I kept it really, really simple. And again, I'm using all my paragraph styles from the first time around. The title 1, the title 2 right here, the body in black this time because I have the body white because it's also on the black reversed, and again an intro, a quote, etc. Right. So it's the same kind of stuff. I just added a few more things in this particular layout. Once you get into the poster gets interesting because this is a lot of work already to create a brochure like this. So I did only I did 2 versions, but 2 different formats, but only 1 version each. For the poster, I had a little bit of fun because I consider this software like a digital sketchbook. So there you go. So I started a couple of things. So first, one big visual of something that is iconic from Paris, but not necessarily recognizable right off the bat, because you fall into the cliches. And I tried to keep that blue, white, and red as the client request. Again, the partnership logos in Knockout. So I'm using those big blocks of color, blue and a little bit of white and a little bit of red. And I did the photo safari this time. It's still live text. It's still live text, bad boy. And then again, experience the city of love through your camera lens. Same tagline. A little bit of the information about the event. So it's pretty standard. And I was like, yeah, I'm not a fan. So I made another one because it's it's the same information. After that, you're just changing colors and you're just changing the layout a little bit. You're moving your logos around. A different photograph that is a little bit more magical kind of thing. It has a little bit of that, I forget what it's called, that effect that glitters a little bit. So, the city of light, the city of love, same kind of concept. I think in this case, it's still live type. It's still live type. I converted it. But here, as you can see, I have that big circle right here. And what that is, it's just an object that has a gradient, a blue to white gradient. And I just changed the opacity to multiply. So what it does is it creates a little bit of a shadow, because when I don't have that object, the text disappears. My knockout text is just, that photograph is just too light. So I just did that very quickly in design, just moving that shape around just to have the right spot. So I could do that in Photoshop, and in this case, I just made it very, very quickly in design. And then I made a third one because I was like, yeah, it's still not there, right? It's still not quite following the brief. And the brief was lots of black, remember? So I'm like, hey, why don't I use the cover image, right? So this time I have, again, the logo in Knockout, a little bit of that subtle blue, white, and red, the same image that kind of like looks like Paris in a moody, kind of rainy gray kind of thing. So it looks very silver. If you're a photographer, like a silver print is those really fancy, really nicely printed photograph, in a lab. So that's kind of what I was going for, right? And again, there's a little blue, white, and red. It's subtle, and again, all those photo partnership logos in there. But what I've added, actually, I'm just going to go back up. What I've added in this particular one is, as you can see, because this is 2 by 3 feet, right? And I want to give credit to the photographer because it is a photographic tour of Paris. So I'm going to zoom in right down in the corner down here. And I'm going to move down there. And see, I just gave like little icon, remember the little icon on my camera icon right there? So I go photo by David Ortega. And this is actually the photographer from Pexels. So I just grabbed this little icon right there from the Noun project. And then I put the name of the photographer in there. And then same thing for the next one down here. I have that tiny little thing down there. You can see it. It's like way down there. And this one is photo by Boris Ulzibat, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it. Same thing here again. Tiny, tiny, tiny little thing. Always the same spot. Photo by Rosivan Moret. And I think he's French. So that's the poster, right? I am going to go now to the map. The map, I made it into a 17 by 11, so a horizontal format, because of the way I wanted to have some text around, the map in the center, and then some images on each side. So in this case, again, I'm using my paragraph styles, again, from the previous documents, right? So it's consistent, it's the same colors. Again, Paris by night. This time is an itinerary for Paris by night. It's a totally different than the regular tour. But as a photographer, you want to do some shots at night because it's, you know, if you've done photography, it's beautiful. So I found some really cool photos of Paris at night, of, you know, the classic kind of, you know, very touristy sites. It's nothing really special about them. But again, another quote from Jules Renard, just add 3 letters to Paris and you have paradise. I thought that was beautiful. And then I'm creating a fake itinerary, of course. Night 1, Arc de Triomphe. Night 2, the Eiffel Tower. And then Musée du Louvre, the Cathedral Notre Dame, the Place de la Bastille, Moulin Rouge, Rive Gauche, etc., etc. So all of those are completely fake. There's just a little bit of text just to fill the space above and around my, my map. And I just created this map again in Illustrator. I created this little icon in Illustrator, but then I have all those extra little bits in there that I'm just bringing into my InDesign document, directly into my InDesign document, I believe. Maybe not. It's right there. Yeah, so these are right there. So I just copied them. The text frame is above. So I just copy them from Illustrator and I just paste them in there. And then I added a little bit of text wrap, so it just kind of wraps the image around, the text around, I mean. And again, you know, there's all those little very French icon, French wine, croissant, the French little map there, and a bicycle. It's just, you know, basic, simple stuff. And again, my partnership logo is very important. Again, if you have a sponsor or if anything like this. Again, the photo safari, this time I've converted to outlines, and then the fake website as well. This time I didn't want to have too much black. So what I did is I used an image in the background right there. And I'm going to just duplicate that one just to show you how I did that. I have this window in my way right here. So I'm just going to deconstruct this very quickly. So this image right here, this image right there is a it's got an opacity of 20%. So if I bring the opacity up, it goes into that weird kind of brownish looking kind of color. So I made it a 20% opacity. And then I changed my blending mode to luminosity. So normal is like this. But the image frame has a color, right? So the image frame has a black background at 100%. So if I put my opacity at 100%, there's my image. I put it down to 20, and then I change my opacity from normal to luminosity, and then it becomes black and white image, basically. Right? That's kind of like the trick around it. So again, I could do that. I should probably do that in Photoshop for the final version, but this is just a quick little digital sketchbook again, and I'm just, you know, slapping things together. I also created a grid, as you can see. I have a 6-column grid, and I created a bunch of guides right there. Again, into my layout right there, go margins and columns, and then create guides to have all those horizontal guides. I mean, to really divide my my layout. So it's you know, it's a grid-based design, and then everything snaps to those guides, right? So I make sure that my photos are lined up to my guides, to my columns, and then same thing for the photo safari. It's slightly off, but that's okay. And then again, partnership right there also lines up. My logos are below. Everything is all lined up. So it's pretty simple to design something like this. Once you have a structure, you know where things are going. You just place them in there. You snap it to your guides, and then you just bring in some fake content in there. So I had to massage the content a little bit, and it's just, again, because it's fake text, I can cut and shorten and lengthen it the way I want, just to fill the space nicely. If that was an actual real client project, I would have a certain amount of text given to me, and I would have to figure this out. So it's a little bit it's a bit more work. On the map itself, as you can see, there's a little bit of a visual hierarchy in there. So the Arc de Triomphe, Moulin Rouge, Montmartre, those are sightseeing that are part of my tour right there. The night number 2 is the Eiffel Tower right there, Tour Eiffel is right there. And then those extra little pieces, such as Galerie Lafayette, Canal Saint-Martin, Quartier Latin, Rive Gauche, those are extra little bits that help people situate themselves in the city, right? So they're just a little extra bits, basically. But as you can see, Montmartre, Moulin Rouge, etc., those are bold, all caps, and then the rest is in lowercase in regular type as well. So small little things, so that's the map. And then there is the magazine. I had some fun with the magazine. The magazine being also a complete fabrication. I tried a bunch of different things. So again, I've created this fake Aperture magazine logo. It's from come up with the idea of, oh, well, the Photo Safari company is going to basically purchase the cover or be featured in that photo magazine. So I just come up with some fake taglines, capture the city of lights with Photo Safari. It's City of Lights or City of Love. So sorry, I say Ooh La La Paris, right? Classic. In the upper right corner there, I have, March 2021, 18th edition, number 216, complete fake. The Globetrotter edition, focus on France. And then again, the photo credit, cover photo by David Ortega. So it's really, really complete. And this is a table, set up as a table. So you can, select things and have an empty cell in there, and then I put my little icon in there in the corner. So small stuff. But also I've added some classic stuff on the cover of a magazine. You have extra little taglines about different articles within the magazine. So I have, the French capital knows how to tease, treasures from the Louvre, the Paris School of Photography, complete fabrication. And there is my UPC code that you saw earlier. I just shrunk it because it's a little too tall. So I just want to make it, kind of unobstructive, basically. So that's kind of like a quick little thing. And I was like, it's too busy. The text is really hard to read here. I have to do some trickery to have this. So I have to, create a big drop shadow in my text just to be able to see them. And I'm like, I'm not a fan. So this is the live text, by the way. Again, same thing. I'm using those glyphs just to create that stuff. So I wasn't a big fan of that. So here again, in my slug, it says Aperture Magazine cover at the top. At the bottom in the slug, it says March, whatever, edition number 216, 8x10 and CMYK. And all that stuff is set in my master page. So here I tried again because, I like punishment. I tried the same version, same layout and everything, except, again, remember the trick I've done for the map with the color image and using a color background. I did the exact same thing, but with a blue. So in this case, I have a background behind in my image frame right there of a really dark blue. You can see the cyan, 160% magenta, and then 100% black. And then again, I select my image in there, and then I change the opacity to, let's say, in this case, 66%, and I change it to luminosity. So the blue code shows through, and it's still a normal color image. If I bring it back to 100%, that's what it looks like, right? So I'm just changing those quick two little things to make it all blue. And again, it's the exact same content. I'm not putting that black box, big black box block behind my cell right there. My cells are transparent. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but it's still very busy. The photo is not working for me. So I changed another thing. I went, okay, what about one of the photographers? Make it look like a photo magazine that you want to pick up. So there's a guy with a beautiful camera taking a photo into black and white field, so suddenly you're a little bit more artsy, right? So it's not as touristy. And again, I'm using my black thing that I've developed at the top here. I'm giving different photo credit. And it says 1 week in Paris with Photo Safari. A little bit of a play with type right there, where everything is, aligned to the right, and a little bit of block of another text right there, page 75, and it's tight and fun, right? So again, I'm using my my blue, white, and red colors, and again the same extra headers right there on the left-hand side. Except this one is all knockout, and then here it's in color. Which I've just added the rule in this paragraph in blue. So how to do a rule like this is you select your paragraph, right? So I'm just going to go into this mode right there. You can see that there's my spaces, my paragraph, and then I go into paragraph rules. So I'm using the shortcut here. I should probably not do that. I go into my paragraphs. I should probably open that up. Where are they? I'm trying to remember. I use shortcuts all the time, and that's my problem. Types and tables. There it is. Paragraph right there. And then I go into my little hamburger menu right here, and you can see there's paragraph rules right there. So the shortcut is on the Mac. It's Command Shift and J. So I'm thinking it's Control Shift and J on the PC. And then you get into this little dialog window right there. So you have the option to do a rule above or rule below. So I have a rule below right there. It's turned on. You can hide it, right? It's the width of the column, but I make a massive indent of -3/4. And what it does is it extends the line out, right? As you can see, if you change it like this, that's what it does. So it just bleeds off the page. There's a little offset, so it's not right at the bottom of the letters, because this usually comes out to 0. I just create a little offset, and that's it. So it's all in one text frame. If I need to move this around, it's in one text frame. There's no lines, there's no extra graphic. So that's how you create those rules. So anyway, so I played with this cover a little bit. I changed the photograph. I went to black and white, and then I did another one, of course, using the photograph that we've used already in the brochure, except this time it's all gray and looks very moody and looks very Parisian in winter. So this time I changed the headline to Paris in winter with Photo Safari. Again, same thing, same everywhere, except now it's all transparent and it's a little bit more airy and a little bit more open. I don't know why I have this one up here when it's up here. I think I must have forgotten that, so my bad. I delete this quickly in the way. And then I was like, I'm not sure if it's still the right solution, the right answer there. So I tried another one using another photograph again. And I'm thinking this has been Photoshopped because a sky like this does not look real at all, but fun nonetheless. Again, Paris in winter with Photo Safari, using a different photo, and then just using a splash of yellow this time. No more blue, white, and red. So again, it's really a digital sketchbook that I just drop a bunch of stuff in there, change the color of the logo. That's why I have two versions. I have a black and a white version, and I'm just doing this fairly quickly. Something like this is fairly quick. You do one cover an hour or less. Once you have one cover done, then you can duplicate it and change a few things. It takes less than half an hour, and then do another one, and again 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes again. So play with colors, play with images, have a good image bank under your foot, so you can play with them. What I want to show as well is I've exported the map for print, a low-res version right there. So I'm just doing a quick preview of the PDF right there. So this is my low-res version for the map, and it's just a regular PDF, no bleeds, no crop marks, no nothing. It's more like for approval, basically, from the client. And then the final version that I would send out to print has, as you can see, the crop marks in the corners, the color bar at the top, the name of the file at the bottom, and even the date. So it's been prepared since the 17th of February already, and we're the 1st of March. So this is a file that is literally ready to rock and roll. It's all in CMYK. It's exported, converted to CMYK. The files are not CMYK because I'm a bad boy. I have not done that. I haven't had a chance. I could probably demonstrate that as well. So there's my the noun project camera, the nounproject.com. This little icon I grabbed. It should be in my map graphics in there. It's in the wrong spot right there. So again, I grabbed some stuff from Vecteezy, and I grabbed some stuff that I haven't used as well. So I grabbed this map, and I was like, nah, it's too green. This one I was like, yeah, I'm gonna grab some of those elements. Again, I'm using them in my document. I just copy them directly from Illustrator and paste them into my my document. I have another one here, Paris at Night. I thought I would use some kind of building, like cityscape kind of outline, and but I just went nope, not gonna use that. And there's my there's the original map. That's a lot of pink. So I was like, nope, there's a good base, but then I bring it into Illustrator. And then this is what I made. I just basically cleaned everything up, all the stuff I don't want, changed the colors, and then that's it. Add a little bit of an effect on the object. I have a little bit of a subtle drop shadow, and that's it. So things like this doesn't take very long. It's assembling all that stuff that takes a little bit of practice, of course, and a little bit of time. And again, your plan to make it happen starts, sure, whatever, I'm missing images because I renamed something. There's the graphic that I renamed, that's why it's missing. But basically creating a plan, you know, collecting images, collecting graphics that you modify eventually really helps you, you know, articulate the visual language and the whole project. So since you have 4 pieces, you know, start small, start with, again, an image bank, some images. A creative brief is a good idea. Then it gives you really like an idea of what it should look like, and then after that, stay consistent, right? Stay on track with your project, right? So image libraries, logos, you know, and that really helps. So 8.5 or 11 by 8.5 brochure, 3-panel brochure is not necessary, but I just kind of brought that up as an extra thing in my brief, because you know, you never know what the client decides or what they like or what they don't like. So I decided to do both the 8.5, the 11 by 8.5 and the 14 by 8.5 as well. And the poster, again, I'm using a lot of black. Again, I tried 2 or 3 different versions just for fun, just to show you that, you know, it's a digital sketchbook, so you got to try a bunch of different things until you find the right one. So again, these are at the concept stages. I would have to do a little bit of production, pre-production afterwards, convert images to CMYK because they're all RGB right now. And I have another tutorial about that. You can batch images and do that all at once. Once you have them collected, it's a lot easier. And there's the magazine again, bunch of different versions. And I'm not sure which one I would pick really, because I'm still not happy with them. So maybe this one. 1 week in Paris with Photo Safari. So it's not, you know, it's not cliche. It's more like a magazine about photographers, for photographers, than a tourist magazine, right? Because nobody wants to pick that up. So that's it. Start planning, start designing, have some fun, collect images, always high res, and you can always convert them into CMYK right off the bat, which I have not done. So I hope that helps.